All fear the ancient wrath of the old ones. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. I am a Rubber Duck Award today, showcasing a glorious Immortal Empires early access showdown between myself and indypride of Milk and Cookies Total War. We are my favorite dino boys. Finally got in on some action, playing them quite a bit recently. Taking on the scary demon legions. Should be a good fun scrap. This is part one of 2 games I have of indypride in this exact same matchup. I think he's going to be casting one of them as well, so plenty of awesomeness to come. Let's hop in there and check out the builds. It is a domination game here and a really awesome map. I absolutely adore this map. I really like the architecture of this kind of fallen kingdom in the ruins of snow. For ourselves, we have Sarus warriors make up the majority of our front line. They're backed up by a bucket ton of skinks, as well as skink cohorts with javelins. Now, skinks are by far and away one of the best units in the game right now. For 300 gold, you get full capture weight. They're going to be capturing along the likes of Chosen and other elite infantry, far cheaper and very swift indeed. We've got some big scary dinos. We have the Ark of Sotek to help clear chaff. And then we have Lord KROAK now. Ladies and gentlemen, Lord KROAK may be a little bit busted. He is incredibly powerful. Now, I don't think he's still that good in land battles, to be honest, at all. But in domination, where the map's much wider, it's much harder to see his spells and dodge them, I think he can prove pretty viable, particularly because your opponent often has to jump on objectives and get stuck down. We have Crocky G leading the battle line onto a Grimlock. Everyone knows he is my favourite Lord in the game, and I think he is very good in domination due to how fast he is. We've also got some chameleon stalkers who they themselves are really, really awesome. So they have Stalk as well as Vanguard deploy. So you get to objectives quickly. Your opponent can't see that they're there. And then because of their precursor missile weapons, they're actually really good at clearing out chaff, which is quite an kind of common tactic in domination, is to spam chaff onto objectives. And these guys deal with them relatively effectively. Looks like they're going to have their work cut out. There are Nurglings as well as Blue Horrors on their way to that objective. My opponent has just gone for a bucket ton of Blue Horrors on the ground. Got some Screamers up in the skies. And then the rather powerful Exalted Demonettes, including the Bringers of Beguilement. Yeah, the Exalted Demonettes are really, really nasty, at least from my personal experience. And up in the skies, we have Be'lakor, the Dark Magician himself, being summoned to the battlefield to reap terror. He is coming in with Pendulum, as well as Melkov's Mystifying Miasma and Enfeebling Foe. Rather nicely, indypride is not going to be bringing the Pit of Shades, which I personally think needs a relatively big debuff. We've got a big pendulum come down the line on the skink cohorts, taking them down about half HP. We were able to dodge with our Sarus warriors, however, and unfortunately KROAK can only look up into the skies and kind of wave his mechanical hand of the gods in a balled fist towards Be'lakor. I can't actually contest him in the air, but that's fine because he's eventually going to have to land if he wants to get value. He's not the type of lord who can just float around and cast spells all day. He is far too expensive for that. So making a big push onto objective 3, we have Sarus as well as more skinks and chameleon stalkers, all driving hard towards objective 3, and I'm going to push forward in the center as well. Blue Horrors are a bit of a pain. Those plasma grenades doing some nice damage on arrival for me. Skink javelins are going to be attempting to break those shields for when my skinks land. I should be able to do some big damage. Unfortunately for me, Be'lakor is a beast. The shadow who walks and laughs, slashing his sword with purple flame. KROAK, though, he won't have anyone bullying his little skinkies. Now my opponent pops the Shadow Shroud with that 40% damage resistance, still despite that he takes some big damage. Over here we can see a big boom coming in from Lord KROAK, wiping out those Blue Horrors with the flick of the wrist. That is my opponent kind of surrounding at the Ark of Sotek. A bit of a trap when Lord KROAK is indeed on the battlefield. Sarus will grind through Blue Horrors pretty damn effectively in the main fight. Despite those plasma grenades coming in, Sarus really are some fantastic mid-tier infantry. Screamer's doing nice work to the Basidon. He's not enjoying that whatsoever, but we have a Supreme Shield of the old ones come down, helping protect our bad boy as Be'lakor tries to get in there. KROAK pushes Grimlock forward. Now for glory, charges into the back and raking bloody gouges out of the rear of Be'lakor, who's not having the best of days despite Enfeebling Foe and the Dark Master going down. KROAK with one melee attack doesn't give a damn. He's going to get down and dirty, and Be'lakor taking big damage now as KROAK is slowly shrugging off more and more of those effects. The Dark Master is incredibly powerful though as a debuff in combination there with Enfeebling Foe. It looks like our next pizza delivery unfortunately does miss the Bringers of Beguilement, and that is the weakness of Lord KROAK. it is possible to dodge him. We do have our golden mask on, I believe, so we're going to be coming in and giving a cheeky little debuff to Be'lakor here as the big fight does commence. Nothing going on objective 1 here, just a couple of blue horrors. We have skink cohorts and sarus spears making a push up through the middle. If we have a nice little look over on objective 3 as well, things are going pretty damn well. Chameleon Stalkers are up to only 3 kills so far, but they are tussling with the often considered quite powerful flesh hounds. Elsewhere, those skinks and sarus getting some nice surrounds. You can see even the exotic bloodletters, who normally would be fantastic in this matchup, are getting beat down here with the chameleon stalkers jumping them in the rear, and that's going to be poisoning them, weakening them, and allowing the sarus to clear them up. Lovely little surround, but the bloodletters will do significant damage. There's also a lot of flesh hound play, so objective 3 is looking a little bit scary for me. I am currently pushing more sarus, so there's more troops here into the middle, and we are driving back the enemy. Look at Be'lakor. Look how he flees before the might of KROAK EG. Trying to ram the spear up the rear end of Be'lakor here and force him away. Love to pop a Hand of the Gods in the back of his dome here as well, and I think that's what we actually do go for. So I stopped my pursuit just because I was a little bit worried of getting too close to enemy deployment zone. Big Hand of the Gods does connect with Be'lakor, doing some nice work, and we're continuing to pressure here. You can see the Brings of a Garment are going down despite getting a Horn of Corn popped on them. The Ark of Sotek in the mist is really helping out quite greatly. Be'lakor, though, once again going to be coming down. My opponent's used him super well. He's been like really aggressive with Be'lakor, getting him in and out of dangerous situations pretty effectively. KROAK just had a good day today, but it looks like the Ark of Sotek, unfortunately being rampaged, is going to go down. And I've got to be careful. We do have Heartseekers being summoned by my opponent, and instantly trying to apply a bit of pressure to KROAK. I'm going to fall back through my infantry, but my opponent with some lovely micros spots the threat and once again is going to pull back. So real close fight in the middle. I do think I'm kind of having a good day though so far here, despite the loss of the Ark of Sotek. And unfortunately for me though, objective 3 is starting to be lost. Flesh hounds are just so goddamn effective. We have chameleon stalkers bomb rushing in to try to close down the enemy, but the exalted bloodletters, despite being surrounded, were victorious, up to 105 kills now, and objective 3 is certainly going to be going down now. I have a nice lead on the ticket element of the game at the moment, 1,800 tickets to 825, but it is looking a little bit sketchy now, though objective 1 is open. My opponent is being forced to pull a lot of his resources into the middle. He simply cannot deal with Lord KROAK and the mighty KROAK, which I think is a very powerful combination in domination. Sarus Warriors and Skinks are just falling back. I'm just trying to recoup my forces a little bit, push them onto the central objective, and I believe these guys will be dissipating relatively soon to pull back to heal up a little bit. I do summon some skink cohort to move towards objective 1, knowing that my opponent is unaware that chameleon stalkers are with them and also moving over to support, so hopefully he won't see it as too big of a threat and I'll be able to get out of danger there. So Skinks are moving back in, Sarus as well, going for a big push on the blue horrors. Just want to overwhelm them, break them as quickly as possible, and then I can start moving units up through this avenue to hop over to objective 1. My opponent is going to be summoning double bloodletters to deal with just the lowly Skinks, but with the chameleon stalkers there, we can certainly put up a fight. We do drag some of our units off the battlefield, and it's a bit of a lull in the battle right now. My opponent's decided, you know what, I can't win the middle, and I think that's probably a good play on his behalf, so he's now trying to play the side objectives a bit more. We have some Sarus spears over here. They're simply going to get butchered. Be'lakor is not a happy ducky today, and he's going to be coming in with a pendulum on top of the Sarus and rear attacking them with exotic bloodletters hitting them from the front. This is a nightmare for anyone, and yeah, it looks like the Sarus instantly break. Normally I'd be a little upset at the cold-blooded troops retreating from the great plan, but hey, when Be'lakor arrives, I do not blame you whatsoever. Stalkers are retreating away as well, which isn't nice, and looks like Sarus are going to get jumped by a nice mobile core of Fleshhounds and Heartseekers. Over on objective 1, though, I am starting to claim it relatively swiftly here, and this is where I do a big gambit. So there's a lot going on in the battlefield in general, and I'm hoping my opponent is distracted by all his units moving around. So I'm going to try a super risky Lord KROAK play. This is all about timing. Can I time it perfectly to hit both these units? This is a medium level blast on the bloodletters. Bam! 2 units instantly die from Lord KROAK. That is no joke at all. That is fantastic value. You can see there's enough damage here to make them unstable, and they just completely eviscerate back into the warp. Chameleon Stalkers move forward just to ensure their death and destruction with a couple of explosive shots, and all of a sudden objective 1 is mine. Objective 2 is also heavily secure, and my opponent is scrambling. KROAK is pretty damn healthy right now. Be'lakor doesn't know where to land because he doesn't want to mess with the teeth of Grimlock. And at that point, my opponent decides to throw in the towel. And yeah, I don't blame him. I think it was pretty much a game over at that point. Maybe a little bit premature. There was a chance for a comeback, perhaps with Be'lakor on the field. With KroaK so healthy and Lord KROAK so healthy, objective 1 and 2 weren't going to fall quickly. And by that time, I could probably just turtle on one objective with the KROAK himself. Now, we did replay this game as well afterwards, but I took out Lord KROAK. We also switched up the map a little bit, and you'll be seeing that probably in a couple of days. I think Indy is going to be streaming that one as well, so, you know, we get to get a bit of a reaction from both sides, which should be really cool, and that game is probably my favourite game I've played so far on Immortal Empires. Not to hype it up too much, guys, but it was insane. It was a really amazing game. Lord KROAK didn't even use that many of his big pizza deliveries today, but still got 3,618 gold value of 275 kills, 2,000 value on Crocky G isn't too bad. Arcasotek flustered a little bit. It was sniped out early due to some really good play by my opponent in the Be'lakor side of things. Only 1.5k value for him, though. He did struggle. I think his outstanding units were the Exalted Bloodletters, 1.1k. But yeah, the Lizardmen were able to march to war and push forward to be relatively dominant. If you want to know how I rank Lizardmen in kind of like a tier list system, by the way, I did a really awesome kind of podcast-style live stream over on Tyrion's channel where we ranked all of the factions, so make sure to go check that out and yell quack at him in the comments just to let him know that I sent ya. Hope you guys enjoyed this one. It was a really good fun one to play in general. I just absolutely love bringing the Lizardmen back into a Warhammer and a rotation of my playstyle. I think they really suit me kind of like down to the bone as well, which is what I love. And if you guys enjoyed this, make sure to leave a big fat juicy thumbs up, comment down below what you thought of the battle, and leave a little subscribe as well. We're growing quite nicely here. We're up to over 11,000 subscribers, I believe. And yeah, I really appreciate all the support. There's a load of links down below to Twitch, Patreon, and Discord. Massive shout out to all of my Patreons, as well as YouTube members who support the channel financially and are really keeping us going and afloat right now. So I super appreciate you guys are the real MVPs. Until next time, peace, peace. And as always, stay awesome.